I cried today for the first day.
Yeah.
Like, I broke down. Don't laugh, because you said you don't like girls who cry.
No, I get it. I was emotional as well.
But, like, it was just a lot. It was very overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. It was tough. It was a lot to even think about and process.
I'm really sad for Mercedes and because they had tension that didn't need to be there. But I remember saying this very, very well when they were talking after Hotel Amor, and they were saying, oh, we're doing very well. We're a great couple. We're great this. And I said the producers are going to create havoc just to sort of cause tension amongst them. The same way they did to Sophie and Dylan is the same way they did to M and Mercedes. But what they did in this instance is they used Kayla to ask a question that they knew would provoke a negative response. And they tried to use the same rule book on Dylan, because they asked him, oh, what happened in bed last night with Sophie? And it's like, why are we asking this question? Why do you need to know? You've got the cameras there. If you need to know, watch it. And also for Taylor and Zayn to be discussing what happened in the bedroom in between the couples at night, I don't get it. I really don't. They need to grow up. They really are annoying me. They are this season's version of Trent and Zach, in my opinion. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. And definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 6, Episode 21. The aftermath of the truth bike, I feel, is mainly Kayla is responsible for that. And this is why the girls don't get along with Kayla and Hannah, because her question was very malicious with its intent, because I don't think she did that because it was part of the game. I think she did it as a way of embarrassing That's the impression that I get, because once the game is concluded, you have everybody storm off. You have, M run to the girls' changing room, and she stays there and she doesn't want to talk to anyone. So Sophie comes in after her and asks her if she's okay, and she says, well, I'm not okay. I just need a moment. I just need some time to myself to digest what's just happened, because I'm furious. I'm seething. And so Sophie leaves, and just as she leaves, Mercedes walks in, and Mercedes is furious because he wants to talk to M, because he feels, as much as he disrespected her, he also feels disrespected. And she's telling him, I need a moment. I need a moment. I don't understand why he didn't understand that. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, he knew what he had done wrong. She might not know what she's done wrong, but he knew for a fact that he had upset her and betrayed her because he had revealed a secret that she had asked him to keep. And so for him to continue to insist, no, I want us to talk about it now. I don't want it to fester. I want us to talk about it now. That wasn't necessary. That really wasn't necessary, because just because your conflict management is to deal with issues as they come up doesn't mean everybody else, that's their way of conflict management. And M actually said it, that our conflict management styles are different. And so he was very furious, and it seemed the more upset he was and wanting to talk, the more angry M got, and eventually he ended up storming out, because you had Sophie come out. Sophie doesn't like confrontation, so she didn't know what to do with herself, so she was fluttering everywhere. She didn't know what to do, and then she came across Mimi and explained to Mimi what was happening, and Mimi had to step in and say, okay, M, do you need a moment? And M said yes, and then they were all able to go out and leave her alone to sort of get a moment to reflect, because at that point there was no way Mercedes could bulldoze Mimi. He can bulldoze Sophie because Sophie doesn't like confrontation, she runs away, but he couldn't do the same with Mimi. So you had M sort of stay behind. The girls asked her, do you need anything? And so Mimi asked Sophie, run and get her toy, bring her toy. So Sophie ran, got the toy, came back, and I think she heard that Em was crying, so she just left Em alone and left the toy outside. While outside, you could see, Mercedes was having a conversation with Steph, and Steph was sort of trying to get Mercedes to understand where Em was coming from, because he asked him, okay, did M ask you to keep the fact that you had sex a secret? Yes. So why did you reveal it? Well, it was a game. No. Well, she saw us anyway, so she knew we had sex. Yes, she saw you. Yes, you were in a game. But at the end of the day, you have to value your partner's trust more than anybody else. It doesn't matter what happens. What were they going to do? Were they going to call you out and punish you because you revealed that you had sex? That wasn't necessary. And so I'm happy that, it seems there's a group of people that really are aligned at building each other and protecting each other, and that are there to sort of help each other during this challenging experience. So I like that Steph was able to have Mercedes understand that that was a secret. She should have kept it a secret. She's asking for a moment. Give her a moment, and when she's ready, she'll talk to you. And so they then sort of were able to leave it at that. And you had M in her confessional crying. I have to admit that I'm now a believer. M didn't have any feelings for Indigo. She tolerated Taylor, and this is the first time she's actually liked someone because of the fact that she was very emotional. Even she acknowledged in her confessional that I didn't know that I felt about Mercedes the way I do. When I came onto the show, I promised myself that I would never cry, I would never become emotional, and I've broken that promise by crying because I promised myself I would never cry for anything or for anyone. And so for me, crying because of what's happened, that shows that I really like him and I have strong feelings for him. The girls did sort of have a mini conversation with M prior to them giving her time, and she was saying, I'm embarrassed because he told everyone that we had sex. He didn't need to tell everyone. He could have kept it quiet. And Sophie in the previous episode was right to say Kayla wasn't supposed to do that. She could have used any other terminology if she was meant to ask the question. She didn't need to come out right and ask did you have sex, because nobody asked Kayla when she went to the hideaway that did you have sex with Zayn. So I don't understand how she felt it was necessary to do the same to poor M. That was very embarrassing. You have Mercedes. He was sulking now. He was in the guys' changing room. I don't know whether he was crying. And Dylan had to sort of step in and say to him, the problem with M is she's very private and she's someone who tries not to sort of show her emotion. And her showing emotion shows she really likes you. And that's, you have to take on board that she really likes you. That's why she's this upset, and that's why she wants a moment. And so he was now sulking in his bed. She was sulking downstairs, and it was really sad because everybody could see that, actually, these people do like one another. We thought it was just gameplay, but they actually do like one another, which makes me believe that, they had other conversations in the villa that we were never shown, and the producers were rather focusing on this stupid Hannah Taylor storyline instead of showing us actual connections that were developing between islanders. It seems like the aftermath of the bike was really terrible because everybody was miserable and feeling some type of way. Anyway, the islanders get ready. Well, we just see them walk out for their drinks, and people seem to be calmer now. The tension seems to have eased at the moment. Zayn does the toast surprise. I don't know who wrote it down for him because it was too thought-provoking. I don't think, he hasn't shown me that he's got that depth to sort of come up with something like that. He spoke about, today is a gift, tomorrow is a mystery, and yesterday was a what? And it's like, oh, okay, it is what it is. Well done to you. You then have M and Nico go down for a chat because something came up during the truth bike, in the sense that Mia was saying she wouldn't move from Adelaide to Sydney because of a relationship, because she loves her family and she wants to be close to her family. And it's like, this is not such a big deal. The two of you, yes, I applaud you for thinking ahead or planning ahead in regards, what if we become serious about one another? How will we continue to maintain this? Because it's one thing in the villa where you're around each other 24/7. It's another thing when you leave the villa and you have to live, miles away from one another. So I get the concern in regards an interstate connection. And Mia's argument is that she can't leave her family, but then I don't know why you have Nico wanting to stay in Sydney. Is that because of his family, or is it because of work? Which is it? Can the two of them not sort of live in between, somewhere in between? Sorry, I'm not from Australia. I haven't been. I think that's the only area I haven't been that I would need to sort of learn more about. So they talk about interstate dating and how that would look like. Mia is planning ahead. She's already thinking, if I settle down with this guy, how will we sort of manage the interstate connection? And it's like, yeah, that's going to be a challenge. That really is going to be a challenge. That is something they will have to discuss and agree upon if they're going to continue to sort of make this relationship work. Maybe Nico might have to move to Adelaide, or maybe they might commute. Well, I don't know how far though. I don't know. I need to open up my Dr. Google, don't I? I don't know whether it's ideal for them to sort of commute from, Adelaide to Sydney. maybe every couple of weeks or so. So it will be interesting to see how they resolve that once they leave the villa. But I don't think it's something that they really need to worry about at the moment, especially if they are not yet 100% sure that they really want or they see a future together. Steph is crazy. Steph is now the cheerleader for M and Mercedes, because, you know, Mercedes, after the toast, you have M sort of decide that, okay, I'm going to put my big girl panties on and I'm going to go and have a conversation with Mercedes. And I like the fact that M was busy saying, he really likes you. He really likes you. To make sure that she understood that, you know, this guy really fancies you. So be careful. He's not just doing it just for the sake of doing it, but he's doing it because he really likes you and he sees something there. So please forgive him so that the two of you can move on. So you have M walk up to Mercedes and then she gives Mercedes a hug and a kiss. And the fact that you had Steph cheering, Steph is a fool. Steph is a fool, and I'm here for it. Anyway, they go up, they have a conversation, and I think time apart actually gave them time to reflect. I think taking a moment to think actually allowed them to sort of digest what's happened and come up with ways of how to deal with it. Because had they both gone in hot, nothing would have been resolved. Because as much as Mercedes didn't want time to sort of process what was happening, it was good and healthy because it allowed him to sit in his feelings and actually ask himself, how would I feel if this happened to me? What did I do? How did I upset my partner? How can I make amends so that we move on? So for him to say to her, I want to start off and say, I'm really sorry. That was sweet. That was sweet. He apologized for what he did, for what he said, what might have upset her. They were both able to sort of express how they're feeling. I think it's good. I really do. I don't know. I think this is the first time since M has been on the show, since day one, that I've actually thought, she actually does like someone. Because with Taylor, it seems she was tolerating him. It seems she was tolerating and managing him so that she could stay in the villa. And I think this is the first time we've actually seen her become emotional and someone actually see that, there's actual feelings behind this. Because one of Taylor's biggest bugbears with her was the fact that she never showed emotion, or he could never understand what she was feeling because she never sort of allowed him in. Whereas it seems in a short space of time with Mercedes, whatever happened during their time in Hotel Amour, they've managed to make strides that are way bigger than whatever she did with Taylor. And she even acknowledged to Mercedes that I really like you because you've seen how I've been about Taylor. I haven't really been bothered, and yet I've cried for the first time because of you, or because of what's happened between the two of us. So that shows me that I really care about you and I have strong feelings for you. He feels the same way. So I am hoping this is a step forward, and I'm hoping the producers leave them alone. I remember last week saying, when they were saying, we're very good with this, that, and the other, and I said, this is not ideal to say in Love Island, because the moment you say that, the producers are going to look for something to cause havoc between your connection, and they have done that by getting Kayla to ask that question, because in asking that question, she was able to sort of get a reaction from the two of them, or cause discomfort between the two of them. That way they sort of ended up in a place that they never thought they would get to. I'm happy that they were able to sort of reach an understanding and sort of make amends, and hopefully this will make them stronger as a couple. I don't mind Mercedes and M. I actually think they're a cute couple. I think Mercedes is better off with M than he would have been with Chrissy, sorry. So Sophie and Dylan sit down for a chat, and I'm not buying that conversation because it feels as though they have been told you need to go and sit down and have a conversation about this, because when they came out for the drinks, they were holding hands. When they went to sit by the teepee, they were holding hands. So if Sophie was still worried about Dylan not having moved on, why are they holding hands all over the villa? Why are they constantly in each other's space? So it makes me feel like, because in the past episode, in episode 20, I don't know whether anyone noticed that, because when Sophie came out of the girls' changing room and she started speaking, she came to have a conversation with Dylan, she leaned under the table, and I don't know whether she was trying to tell Dylan the truth, because Mimi had said to her, you need to tell him every single thing. And so I don't know whether there are details that the producers don't want her to reveal, and that's why she was trying to tell him under the table. Because if you look at the editing, I had to rewatch it. You can see that I'm obsessed. I had to rewatch it. She goes under the table, comes up, and then we're shown the back of them and the conversation is going on. But there's also a corner where you see at one point Mia is standing there because she's the one who was in a green dress, and then she disappears, and then you have them talk about, if you were going to pick, who were you going to pick, him or me? And so I don't buy this conversation that they're having in the TP, because to me it appears as though Dylan knows exactly what's happened in Hotel Amour. But the producers, because Sophie has revealed it, are now wanting to sort of go along with the storyline that they were aiming for. And so this is why they've asked them to sit down and have a conversation. Do I feel like Dylan has strong feelings for Sophie? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do I feel like Sophie really likes Dylan? Yes, I do as well. I believe both cases. And so it makes me question if Sophie was reluctant to do anything quickly with anyone else. She was reluctant. She was very upset when Indigo kissed her because it came out of the blue. When she was in a bed with Mercedes, she kept her space and he kept his space. And even with Dylan, it's taken, they made out they made out before they even coupled up anyway on day one. So for her having pursued Dylan like that, it makes me question why should suddenly give it all up or suddenly do something to jeopardize that. And so, yes, she apologized. And Dylan was saying, if I was using my own rule book that I used in the real world, I wouldn't have forgiven you. But I discovered I've got feelings for you. And so I'm trying my best to forgive you. She said she's giving him a pass, but she doesn't want to give him a pass. And you can see by the way she was covering her face, it makes me feel like Sophie's face is very transparent. You can actually see everything she's thinking and she's about to say. So this makes me question whether that scene was genuine or not, because she kept covering her face, and I don't know whether she was just going along with the dialogue that she was asked to sort of go along with, because we all know she's got a motor mouth. She can't keep a secret. She can't keep a secret to save herself. And I don't think she would have been able to keep a secret if anything had happened in Casa. I know the producers are salivating. They are waiting for Dylan and Sophie to make up so that they can break them up again. Because for some reason, they have it in for Dylan and they've really made him go through the ringer. The fact that the girls have passed him one to another, the fact that he's been criticized for how he kisses, he's been criticized for being an F-boy. And yet you have people like Zayn and Taylor getting away with it. I don't get it. So I'm happy that they had the conversation for the fans to sort of accept that, yes, they are moving on. But I know for a fact that movie night is coming, and I know the producers are going to do their best to make sure that they don't, remain standing as a couple after movie night. And so I really feel sorry for them. The Islanders get ready for bed. The girls are excited. Em is happy that she's made up with Mercedes. Sophie's happy that she's made up with Dylan, and already you have Mimi and Steph in a good place. So the girls are busy dancing, they're excited, they're happy. The Islanders go to bed and the little heart lights are on. Even Taylor and Hannah have their heart light on, but they're not doing anything. So I don't know whether they're just doing it so that everybody assumes that there's something romantic there, or whether they're just doing it just for the sake of it. So you have Zayn beg everyone that, please, can we not have any moaning tonight, guys? And it's like, well, you can't tell people what to do. They will do what they're going to do. Mercedes was saying, he's not planning on having sex, and even if he does, he's not telling anyone. He's learned his lesson, and it's like, oh my God, this is amazeballs. Seriously, these people in the beach hut are very messy. The producers are very nosy. They need to stop being inappropriate. Anyway, in the morning, you have the Islanders wake up. Sophie, my girl, is at peace. Whatever happened in her bed has made her so calm and so peaceful. She won't even mind anybody's business. So you have, Dylan is called to the beach hut and he's asked, well, did anything happen in your bed last night? And he said, yeah. And they asked for details and he refused. He said, no, I don't kiss and tell. And it's like, seriously, of all the guys in the villa, you expected Dylan to say something. Dylan has always been closed off. He's always been quiet. He hasn't discussed his business. We haven't seen him discuss any of the details of his relationship with anyone outside of Mimi when they went on to Hotel Amour. So the idea that the producers thought they would bring him to the beach hut and ask him what happened in bed and he would give them the details, they must be watching a totally different guy from who we were watching, because I wouldn't have expected him to reveal the details. He said he doesn't kiss and tell. They have to respect that. And none of the guys is stupid, especially after the backlash that Mercedes faced from M for revealing what happened in their bed. None of the guys would be stupid enough to reveal what happens in their beds. None of them. I think the most likely candidate would be Taylor or Zayn if they thought it would give them, a score or would give them brownie points for that. Otherwise, the other guys, I don't see them sort of revealing those details. You have Taylor and Zayn there in the bedroom. And it's the audacity for me, the audacity. Taylor had his light on. and he must have been doing whatever he was doing with with Hannah. So the idea that he was busy listening to what was going on in Sophie and Dylan's bed doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't, because if he is so smitten with Hannah, if he is head over heels with Hannah, as he makes us believe, if he was busy with the light on, why was he listening to what was happening in the next bed? Oh, Sophie, she was moaning. And then you have Zayn going, oh, it was like someone is chewing. You know, when you chew with your mouth open. And it's like, so seriously, the two of you couldn't go to sleep. Why didn't you ask for earbuds? That way you didn't hear the noises. If you didn't want to hear the noises, or cover your head with a pillow. The audacity for you to be laying there and listening to what's going on in somebody else's bed doesn't make sense. Besides, Sophie had already told Dylan that, you can't do what we want to do in this room with people. And it's like, well, give them a night in the hideaway then. Give them space in the hideaway and allow them to do what they want to do. Anyway, the islanders are busy having breakfast, and Dylan receives a message that says, Mesdames and Messieurs, love is in the air and it deserves to be released. Steph and Mimi, please prepare to leave the villa for a romantic date. And it's like, wow, this is Mimi's second date. Hashtag nice baguette. Hashtag escargot. And it's like, wow, they really are going all out with the French theme. So you then have Mimi go and get prepared for her date. Steph is getting prepared for his date as well. And I'm surprised it was just Steph and Mercedes. Normally the guys would sit in a group and sort of help the other guy get dressed for his date. Mimi didn't know what escargot was, so she had to be told by M. And so I don't know how she's going to manage that, because she was saying she's not, one of those adventurous eaters, but she'll try her best. So she leaves the villa with Steph. They go on their date, and it's like, wow. So of all the couples, they are the one that has sort of most in love then. I would have wanted the date to be given to M and Mercedes, given the fact that they had a tiff and they've just made up. They deserved the date. They deserve the date. I don't know why the producers didn't do that, whether it's because they are not one of their favorite couples, or how they sort of came to the conclusion that Steph and Mimi are the ones they wanted to pick. Part of me thinks as well that they want to play them dirty, so they're giving them a reward before they mess them up, like they did with Mimi on Love Island UK, where they sent her and Josh on a date, and then when they came back, they revealed her Terrence incident. And so I have a feeling that they're doing all this so that they can play at the movie night the video of Steph flirting with Chrissy. It's going to be messy. So Mimi and Steph had their date. That date was too cheap. Really, they could have had them do anything. All they did is look for a little terrace somewhere and then put two chairs and a table. They could have had them do anything, and that's what they decided to make their date. It didn't make sense. They could have easily done that in the villa. So I don't know why the whole charade of sort of taking them out and saying they're going on a date. The snails, yeah, Mimi was right. They looked like garden snails. They really did. They look like the snails that you see outside when it's wet. So I've never eaten escargot. I don't see myself doing that. I'm not one of those very adventurous eaters. So at least she tried. I love that their date was sweet, and her asking him to speak in French is like, Mimi, do you understand French or what? Oh, are you just trying to get him to be very romantic? It was sweet and I loved it and it was cute, but then part of me is now having sort of these alarm bells going on in my head saying the producers are up to no good. Why did they give them this date? It's because they're setting them up for failure. And the fact that they both said they really like each other and they can see their connection continuing outside the villa, I have a feeling movie night is not going to be kind to them. I really do. I have a feeling movie night is not going to be kind to them. I would assume the producers have decided to give them sort of the date instead of Sophie and Dylan, because if they had, then Sophie would have owned up and told Dylan exactly the truth. So they don't want her to reveal whatever happened. I know it's a random thought. Anyway, back at the villa, you have the rest of the islanders. They're playing this race in the pool, and that was cute. It was something to do while they're waiting for the couple that went on their date. You have Mimi and Steph come back from their date. They're really happy. They're excited. Mimi says she's never told anyone that she really likes him, or she's never discussed feelings with someone. And it's like, at your big age, I would assume you have. Maybe there's cause for concern then for Steph if you haven't told anyone and you haven't said you love him. You said you like him. And so what is it going to take, or how long is it going to be for him to wait around until you actually develop feelings whereby you tell him you love him? I like them for one another. I think they've grown on each other, and I think they've grown on me as a couple, because the way they came about to be was not because there was a connection there, but it was Mimi trying to spite her her connection at the time. So I'm happy that they've decided to tunnel vision on each other. I'm happy that Steph has decided to tunnel vision on Mimi. Hopefully the girl that they're bringing in doesn't sort of meet his criteria for what he goes for, or she's not his type. Anyway, the islanders get ready for the night. So you have Dylan having a conversation while everyone is getting ready, but it's just him and Nico in the bedroom. So Nico is asking Dylan, how are things going with Sophie? Have you two sort of made amends, and where do you stand? And Dylan is saying, I personally feel Dylan has developed strong feelings for Sophie. I wouldn't be surprised if he has started falling in love with Sophie, because she was, his number one, and he was her number one, and they were always prioritizing each other. You'd always see them around the villa spending time together. So for him, he's struggling, he says, to sort of understand how she could sort of pivot that quickly, given how strongly she always stood on, no, you shouldn't make your mind very quickly, you shouldn't switch, there's no switch up, this, that, and other. So to suddenly have her switch from him to Zayn and then switch back to him, it's something that he will question, especially given the fact that he doesn't know the real facts of what happened in Hotel Amour. He's only going by what Sophie is telling him. So it's going to be difficult for him to understand what's going on, what is true, what's not true, unless he sees everything. And I have a feeling the producers are going to make that center stage on movie night. And I don't know how he's going to cope. I don't know whether I emotionally am ready for this, because this is going to be devastating for him. Because I have a feeling, as I've watched him, that he's developed such strong feelings for Sophie that I wouldn't be surprised if he was on his way to falling in love with her. And so this is something that he wasn't prepared for. This is something that has come out of left field and is sort of shaken him to the core, because he doesn't understand who he's been developing feelings for, because the girl that he was developing feelings for made him feel special, made him feel wanted, made him feel like he was a priority. And suddenly to find out that a few hours after they separated, she was already doing something else doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to me, because Dylan and Sophie were always each other's shadow in the villa. So to hear that the moment she stepped away from him, Zayn was able to persuade her, Zayn, who can't even string a sentence together, was able to say or do something to get her to sort of change her mind about Dylan, doesn't make sense. The islanders get their drinks, and then they have a bit of a dance session. Those dance sessions are a bit awkward for me, given how I heard one of the islanders say there's no music playing, it's just one of the producers holding a little phone or and a speaker and getting you to dance to that. So I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me anyway. So the islanders receive a text message to say that there are two gatecrashers coming. So the boys and the girls are separated. The girls sit by the fire pit and the boys sit on the deck. And the boys are thinking maybe it's two guys coming in, because why have they been sort of left away from the fire pit? And it turns out it's Jade, who's 21, and Gus, who's 25. And for me, this is what I think. I think the producers actually went out and looked for Gus in particular, in the sense that we have Hannah, who they've brought back. Hannah is not getting along with the rest of the girls, and so she needs someone to stay with, and the only way they can get Kayla to stay is if they find Kayla someone, because how does she describe what she's looking for? And that's exactly what the producers deliver for her. Make it make sense, because she said she wanted someone older, someone tall, someone this, someone with great teeth, and that's exactly what they delivered on a platter for her. Jade, I think, was just brought in because they thought, if we were going to bring in a guy, let's bring in a girl, someone who either Dylan or Zayn might like. Zayn is ecstatic, he's like he's won the prize. So you have Gus sit down with the girls and Jade goes to sit with the guys, and you can see the guys are really trying to be on their best behavior, because all of them are in locked-in couples. The only person who's not in a locked-in couple is Zayn at the moment. So I hope this doesn't create tension for any of the other couples, because I think people are in couples that are best suited for them, given who is in the villa. And I think the only person for her is Zayn. And given the fact that she says she's never been in a relationship, I can see her being a player. And if there's anyone who's going to break Zayn, I have a feeling she is. I have a feeling she's going to break Zayn. And so I can't wait to see that. Gus, you could see, oh my God, the way Kayla was salivating, the excitement on her face, it was a bit too much. I have a feeling it's brought in for her and it's going to couple up with her. Just like they did for Sav last season, where they brought in that guy towards the end. This seems to be what they've done for Kayla, because at the end of the day, Kayla is the only person who's able to tolerate Hannah, and they need Hannah on the show, because I don't think they would bring her back just for 1 or 2 episodes I have a feeling she's going to make the top 4, if not top 3. Anyway, can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 20. Bye, guys.